Hey, Melanie, how are you?
I'm awesome. How are you, Jen?
Good. Thanks for joining me. I'm so excited you're joining me to talk a little bit about finding your voice. You're the perfect person to talk to about this, which makes me very excited that you had time to join me. We've known each other for 10 years. 10 years? It's been a long
Probably.
time. I know.
Since I had long hair,
Did you have
which is
long hair?
probably more than 10 years ago. So yeah.
I know. So I was like a baby blogger back then. I was blogging for a couple of different places, and I think that's where I first met you. You had your own branding company in the DC metro area. And
Mhm.
now, fast forward to you are an international speaker, which makes me so proud. Not only to
Thanks.
know you, but you are fantastic. And I've always loved your authenticity. And I've really loved the way that I've seen you evolve like over the years and this incredible new venture that you have. You're an international speaker. You are a trainer of speakers, which is saying something, right? And an all-around brand strategist. Am I missing something? I feel like you are like conquering the world. You.
I think just getting up every morning and doing what I need to do to feel like a normal human being feels like I'm conquering the world
I know.
right now. So
Yeah, of course, of course. But so impressive. And like I said, I've just watched you speak and train people over the years, and I thought you'd be the perfect person to talk to about this. So, wanted to talk about something that's really important. I wanted to talk a little bit about females finding their voice. So
mm,
I think that one of the things that I've noticed, one of the things that I've talked to a lot of my friends, professionals about, is why are women so hesitant to share, to speak up and to speak out? Why is it hard for us to find our voice?
I mean, I could go into like some serious cultural conversations about this and like how society has not allowed that to happen forever and ever and ever. But I think I don't tend to get into the whole like, well, we just need more women this or that or anything. I'm just like, I just think more humans need to be able to find their voices. And I'm a woman, so it's really easy for women to come to me to do this because they're like, well, you're a woman, so you understand. And the funny part is I don't understand as much as everyone else does. Like, I don't understand because I had a mom who was very outspoken, in your face, never back down from anybody. She had the pans. She like pushed us to be outside the box. And as an introvert who didn't want to ever speak up about anything, I was pushed way outside of my box to always speak up about things. And I'm going to tell you that this is called years of getting in a lot of trouble. So I think I have a different perspective on speaking up because someone actually interviewed me probably 10 years ago and said, why is it that women don't speak up when they need to? And I was like, they don't? Why don't they? And she was talking about like asking for a pay raise and asking for the job that they want and asking for whatever. And I'm just like, you wait, they don't? Why? And I was so taken back by this that I was like 29 and going, are you kidding? I've always asked for the job that I wanted. I always asked for more money and I would leave the job if they didn't give me more money. If I knew that I was doing what I needed to do and I pushed for what I needed, I didn't just wait for someone to hand it to me. I would just ask for it. And I think it's like there's certain things that are ingrained in us. Like some of us are nurtured a certain way and some of us are naturally a certain way. And I think it's figuring out what those tendencies are. Because if we're nurtured to not speak up and we're naturally not going to speak up, we're not. Like, I'm naturally not going to speak up, but I was nurtured into asking for things. And I think that's a bigger problem is most women are nurtured and naturally not willing to speak up.
Yeah.
So it's hard for us to step out of that zone and go, I have to say what I need to say. I have to be willing to have people not like me, because that is the biggest part for women not saying what they want to say is they're afraid someone's going to say, no, I don't like you anymore. And that's worse than saying, no, you can't have it.
Yeah. No, you're
No, I
absolutely
don't
right.
like you
Yeah, you're
anymore is
right.
the worst.
You know, it's funny that you say that because I remember, like, because I feel like I've always been a little bit outspoken, but I haven't. I remember so I worked at Sony Worldwide, somehow managed to early on become bureau chief in Nashville, right? I worked in country music. And it is not only a male dominated industry. I mean, maybe it was more so when I was there, but it's not only that, but I had to push my way through as a reporter, right? So I had a giant microphone and I had to push to actually do my job, get a paycheck. And so that was pretty early in my life. So when I was always speaking up and I had to get over that fear of it's a celebrity, right? So it's a celebrity, and that's super
Right.
intimidating, or someone who has a lot of money and power and whatnot. So like you, I was sort of forced into that at an
Yeah.
earlier age. I didn't necessarily have a parent, but I was sort of forced into that. So it is a little bit to me. It's a little bit interesting to me when people, I'm just like, just say what you mean. Just
Right.
speak. You don't be louder. They just didn't hear you. So it's interesting.
Right.
Um, there's one thing that you do that I love, and you talk about this a lot about being unapologetically you. You've always been, well, I don't know if you've always been, but since I know you, I feel like you've always been unafraid to be Melanie.
Hmm.
I find myself holding back. I know other people do too, but I think there is some power in being that unapologetic person, that person who's like, no, I have an opinion, and I am my own person, and I have my own aura, or like, I'm just not going to be anyone else. So
Yeah.
I would love for you to talk a little bit about that. Like, when did you come to that? Why do you think there's power in that?
Mm. I think once I figured out who I was and my brand and what that looks like, and I know I always had a brand. I always had a specific brand of me. I was always Melanie Spring, and that's just going to be who I am. And I was always unapologetic about that on the outside, and always like, oh crap. What if people don't like me? What if I said something wrong? What if I did something wrong? Oh my gosh, I probably offended that person terribly. Like I would have that like internal, external battle of like, I'm amazing. I hope you like me. Like the whole back and forth with that. And it wasn't until, and I don't know, I'm sure people have heard this story a million times, but I also know that if I don't share it, then the one person who needed to hear it isn't going to hear it. My mom and I got in a huge fight when I was in my early 30s, right after I cut all my hair off. And it wasn't because of my hair, but she meddled in my life. And I had a really hard time with that, especially at 32, and going, are you kidding me? I'm an adult. I've been an adult for a really long time. What are you doing? And she meddled in my life, and I told her to F off. I was like, you can't do this. Like, you need to stay out of my life. Like, you cannot do this kind of thing to me. And it was so invasive to me that I was like, no, I'm not interested. And we didn't talk for 2.5 years. And it was hard because my mom and I have had like a sordid history. Like we have neither of us liked each other. We are the same and opposite. And it's really hard to be the same and opposite. And I know that there are women who have daughters just like me. And I also know that there are a lot of daughters who feel that way about their own mother, of like, how do I like combat this, but also like love you in the same sense. And during those 2.5 years, it took me going, oh my gosh, I've been so worried about what my mom thinks about me that I won't do certain things because she's going to disapprove. And by the time we started talking again, and it took us a long time, a lot of therapy and a lot of like, all right, we're just willing to leave the past in the past and move forward. I had gotten tattoos. I was dressing the way I wanted, no hot pink sweaters, like that kind of stuff, like no doing what she always wanted me to do. And finally I was just like, I'm going to be me, and I'm going to do what I want to do. And when she finally got to get to know me, the one that I really was, not the one I was trying to be for her, she was like, you know how much I love you that you're willing to be you. Like, I love you more because of that. And like all this time I've been trying to like impress someone I thought was judging me, and I was judging her for judging me, and it wasn't true. So being able to really step into that allowed me to go, well, now I could even talk about that. And I just said something to her the other day. She was here, and I live near her at the moment. And she said, you know what, Melanie, if you're not willing to share your stories, then other people can't grow from them. And I was like, this is like all I ever talk about anymore. Are you kidding me? So being able to do that allows us to be able to just show up for ourselves. And then it allows our stories allow other people to show up for themselves.
Mm-hmm. And it's funny because that's exactly why I'm drawn to you. Your personality has always been, it's always spoke to me in some way. So yeah. So I'm glad that you did. I do another Melanieism that I have to say is the you're welcome concept. I recently heard this from you, and I like it. So sometimes when we are out in the world and we're afraid, we go into a place and we're afraid to, we're just intimidated. Maybe it's intimidation. I'm not really sure. But you always talk about coming in like, you're welcome. I'm here. And that does really change the way that we communicate with people, right? Or they change the way that we speak out if we just fake it or take it from that point of view. But how did you even come up with that? Like, talk about that for a minute, because I see it in different iterations and some of the things you do, but it really speaks to me that walking in like, I have things to offer. I
Mhm.
have gifts to, I am unique and I have a perspective. You're welcome.
Yeah. Well, I actually heard it at church, which is
Really?
funny because they were talking about spiritual gifts and they were talking about how we all have gifts that we need to give the world and we need to step into that, which if you go to any church, you hear that sermon of the gifts. But he gave a different perspective. And I thought that was so fascinating because I was like, ooh, that's a new one. I want to know more about that. And he said, what if you realized that you were the gift? And you walked in saying, I'm the gift. You're welcome. Instead of, I'm sorry. And that's how most women go into conversations. Oh, I'm sorry. I probably shouldn't be here right now. Oh, I'm sorry. You ran into me, but I'm sorry. Like that kind of stuff happens all the time. We apologize for no reason. Like how many times can you catch yourself saying, I'm sorry?
Mhm.
And what are you actually sorry for? What if you stop saying you're sorry for everything and instead you said you're welcome? And so you walk into a room, you take a deep breath. I teach my speakers this all the time. You take a deep breath and then you say you're welcome as you walk into the room to yourself, not out loud, like obviously. Because if you know, I'm just going to say this, you probably know a man who walks into every room with like you're welcome. You know that guy.
I do.
What if you actually showed up that way and you were like, same, and you felt that way as you walked in? It gives you a power that you didn't have before. It gives you that like, oh yes, I am the gift. I am way better than these dudes in this room and I am going to crush it right now. Even if you don't feel that way, you saying that to yourself is going to get you to feel that way.
See, I love this because this kind of transitions me into one thing I want to grab with you before I let you go. So, two things. I want to get some tips from you real quick, and then I want to give people a place to go after this, the people that are really looking to kind of further their public speaking or their own journey,
Mm-hmm.
in some way. Some quick tips. So we know that you're welcome, Trip, which I love.
Mm-hmm.
Any other like quick do this? You were giving me some tips before we started this, which is what makes me like laugh. It's so much pressure to record with you, and then holy, I'm doing it wrong. But so give me some like speaking tips, some things that if you were to say to some of the ladies out there, like, yeah, just remember this or do this, or what kind of knowledge can you drop on us right
Oh, the you're welcome one is my favorite,
now? Oh, me too.
but otherwise most of it has to do with how you're going to show up. So if you're willing to show up on Zoom, so a lot of us have to do video calls all the time now, so we have to do that. Whatever you can do, I mean, put on your favorite perfume before you get on your call so that you can be like, yes, I am here, I'm in it. Put on shoes or whatever. Put on, like, I wear slippers or bare feet all the time, so whatever, but put on something that makes you feel confident or beautiful or whatever you need to feel for that call, and then make sure that you are feeling that way as you jump onto that call. So right before you get on the call or get on stage or wherever you're trying to do this, walk into whatever room and meeting you have to be in, practice at happy hour with your friends. Like it doesn't really matter, but right before you walk in, put on your confident outfit and be like, yes, yep, this is going to be amazing. And you walk in and you bring that energy with you to whatever you're doing. And that goes to the big, huge stage. I tell people, take a deep breath, walk on with all of that confidence, and sometimes get into that Wonder Woman pose and like really stand there and be like, I'm here and I'm going to kill it. I'm going to crush this. It's going to be amazing, because you will truly believe it if you keep saying that to yourself. So
It's
that's
meant.
one of my big tips.
No,
Walking with confidence.
it's a good one. It's true. I mean, that's one thing I've noticed about you. I'm full disclosure. I am doing a course with Melanie, and one of the things that we do right in the beginning is we always really center ourselves. We always get into that space, and it really works for me.
Mm-hmm.
Something I'd never tried before, but
Yeah.
it really works for me, and I appreciate it. And I now find myself doing it before something really big. Um,
Good.
but I would like to. I would be remiss if I didn't mention that you're a trainer of speakers, not just a speaker,
Mm-hmm.
but a trainer of speakers. And so I would love for you to, you've got a lot of different programs and things that you could offer someone. What do you recommend, or where can people find you if they are just looking to find their voice a little bit more, or really want to take that journey to a talk, or presentation, whatever that might be?
Well, I would say the first thing you want to do is take a moment to do some sort of visioning for your life. Where do you want to be? How do you want to show up? What do you want your life to look like? So that helps you kind of get centered and focus on that. And you can find that at melaniespring.com/lifevision. And that's a free workbook and visualization. That's like 12 minutes of visualization, just you visualizing yourself in that space and being able to then put it into paper, which it's free. Go sign up for that, do that thing. But the one thing I would say, the first bit of how to get started is join the next 90-day challenge. We have a Speak with Confidence 90-day challenge, the one that Jen's in at the moment. And we give you 90 days, 13 weeks, 8 phone calls, 7 chapters, and a whole bunch of amazing content to help you focus on how you want to write your talk, whether you're giving a toast at a wedding or you have to, I mean, intimate weddings now, so you really have to be good at your toast. And then you have to also make sure that you can get up in front of the board and actually pitch for what you want them to be giving you, the budget that you want, or whatever you want them to share with you. And then you want to be able to give a talk, whether it's a sponsor talk because you're sponsoring an event, or even an actual talk that you're giving for an event itself, whether it's a webinar or a Zoom call or even on stage. So any of those things that you can do, join the 90-day challenge. It's ispeakwithconfidence.com/90days.
Yeah, and you also you have one other free, resource about the Zoom. What is that one? Because I think everybody needs that. What's that one?
Oh my gosh, yes. I'm actually editing it a little because there's a whole bunch of stuff with that. But it's called How to Not Be Weird on Zoom. And it's basically how to show up in your own weird, but not be like that weird guy on Zoom. How to Not Be Weird on Zoom. And it's irockmyvideos.com.
I love that. I love it. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Thank you for being here. You guys can see why I'm such a huge fangirl of Miss Melanie. Thank you.
Thank you.